This is the Sunshine Cathedral Perspective. Sunshine Cathedral's Canon Theologian interviewed queer-friendly Jesuit Father James Martin. On the first day of the recent Papal Conclave and the day before Pope Leo was elevated to the seat of St. Peter as the Bishop of Rome. As the Roman Catholic Church turned its attention to the selection of a new Supreme Pontiff following the death of Pope Francis on April 21st, Canon Theologian Rob Lee sat down with his friend, Father James Martin, and recorded an interview. Father Martin was at the Vatican covering the election of the new Pope for American Magazine, where he is editor-at-large. Father Martin is also a well-known best-selling author and founder of Outreach, a resource for LGBTQ Roman Catholics and their families. Father James referred to Pope Francis as an imperfect friend of LGBTQ people and spoke of his good humor and his ability to put people at ease in his presence. He said his hope for the next Pope was that he would be pastoral. And Father James reminded us that no matter who the Pope is or what their attitudes towards LGBTQ people might be, that LGBTQ people are and will remain part of the Roman Catholic Church. You can hear that interesting interview between Father James Martin and the Reverend Dr. Canon Rob Lee IV by visiting sunshinecathedral.org/news/James Martin. When Dr. Lee texted me and said, "Hey, what about we doing this interview live from the Vatican?" I'm like, "Hells yeah!" Like, yeah, that was a no-brainer. But I listened to the interview before it even went live, and I was like, it was almost in the moment of a surreal thing that was happening, that with someone right at the Vatican giving this interview and giving their perspective on the approach that was happening. Not only just the pontificate, but also how this also connects to the LGBT community at large. And I like how he referenced back to Pope Francis, and I think that, and I love his ending line there, regardless, the LGBT community will always be part of the Roman Catholic Church. And I think that's just a beautiful reminder that we are everywhere, first of all, that there's no executive order that can get rid of us. There's no prayer that can get rid of us. There's none of that. We're a part of all of this. And so, being aware that, there have been gay-friendly priests and gay-friendly bishops and some who have been gay themselves all throughout history, this is just one of those reminders that make no difference. Just because the top position changed doesn't mean the agenda to work towards inclusion for all people changes. And I think that's something that we have to be reminded of. I think Dr. Lee did a great job with that interview. Again, if you want to hear it, just visit sunshinecathedral.org/news/James Martin. And even if you want to read about James Martin and his work, the founding of his organization is very profound. And I know it's meaningful to Catholics who have been hurt, to Catholics who've been turned away, to Catholics who've been told you can't receive communion or confirmation. But this is that reminder, like, we're all in this together.
Father Martin has a column. He's frequently featured on podcasts and whatnot. He's really out there, and he is an LGBTQ advocate. And he gets a lot of flack for it. I mean, people are super mean to him. But he stands his ground. He knows what he's about, and he knows what he's talking about. He's still pretty conservative. I mean, he toes the line of Catholic dogma, and he is a Jesuit priest. But he just doesn't seem to think that means you have to be exclusive or hateful or cruel to LGBTQ people, especially people seeking holy orders, because if you're going to agree to celibacy, who cares who it is that you aren't sleeping with? You know what I mean? So he is an advocate, and of course that he would be wanting a pontificate that would be welcoming, and that makes sense to me. And we all want that. I hope we want to make sure that, well, we can't have no control over it really, but I don't want us to expect too much. This could be practically the Harvey Milk of the papacy, and he's still limited by history and tradition and canons and the consistory and whatever. So he's probably not the Harvey Milk of popes, but even if he were, so yes, we want more inclusion. We want more compassion. We want that, and we deserve that. I also would caution us against expecting that to move in fast ways, in a single pontificate even.
Indeed. And I'm so glad that Sunshine Cathedral is actually part of this by having Reverend Dr. Lee interview Father Martin and his experiences to what that was like being part of this process. I mean, that's really something that we can offer our community as well, that we can hear this.
Just think, the church has gone from Pope Benedict to Pope Francis to Pope Leo, and the movement to a more loving church is clear in the last two popes. I do not expect the Pope to ever, this Pope anyway, to ever come out and go, queer community, I fully embrace you. I welcome you into my church. You are going to be a part of all of my sacraments. You are my family and I love you. That last part I do want him to say. The rest of it, I'm not so sure that he'll be able to say. But I think that the strongest point is that the last two popes, the last pope and the current pope, seem to be people who embrace that whole message of love, love, love. And for that, I am grateful that Francis was there and that Leo was here now. And I do look forward to there being controversy with our community, because we expect everything and we deserve everything, and we're not going to get everything. So let's see.
At least not right now.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if you saw the clip or not. When Pope Francis was speaking somewhere, someone got in the window behind him and raised the rainbow flag. And they were playing that clip and played the recent Pope Leo that was scanning the audience here, and they caught a photo of two kissing.
I saw that.
And I thought, well, that's a big leap of something there. And no one seemed bothered around them, but thought, wow, that's a statement within itself, that they felt at home, comfortable, what do you want to call it, that as he's on the balcony, it's been announced that he's the next pope, there are two men kissing.
Yeah.
Pope Francis met with transgender people, and he befriended an Argentine, I believe, transgender sex worker.
Yes.
Yep.
And so those kinds of gestures are meaningful. So maybe he'll do something like that. Maybe we'll just see him hanging out once in a while with the lepers and the prostitutes and the tax collectors. You know, real Jesus-y stuff.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Imagine that.
Yeah, those things would be really significant, even without big papal bulls and encyclicals about, just to have lunch with a trans person. Yeah. That would be significant, and I don't think that's too much to hope for.
Well, if we're on the hope list, I'm just going to put on the hope list. I think Pope Leo XIV needs to come visit Sunshine Cathedral.
There you go.
Hey, he'd be welcome.
Yes, he would.
Yeah, he would.
The chances of that happening, however, but you just never know. It's an outreach to the LGBT community.
His sensitivity, whether or not it's a full-on commitment or not, but his sensitivity to diversity and inclusion. He gave his first speech, his first homily, from the balcony, in Spanish and Italian.
Yeah.
He's a native English speaker. He spoke not one word of English. Now, a lot of American nationalist people,
did you see what happened after
their
that?
minds, because they're hateful and mean. But this native speaker didn't even speak one word of his native language when he was addressing the world. I think that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I think that's a good sign. And that his ministry was in Peru and he became a Peruvian citizen. He had to get permission from the Pope, which was granted or whatever, but he became a citizen of the place where his ministry was. And he spent, I think this might be right, that he's actually spent, certainly working, more time in Peru and Italy than he ever did in the U.S.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, those kinds of things are interesting. So even if we don't get him in the queer business, I think he's going to do really good things across the board.
Yeah.
And he's young in papal terms. He's 69.
He and I are the same age by a week.
He's 69, which he could have a 20-year pontificate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
A lot will change.
give him a minute, because he could have 15, 20 years. Give him a minute.
All right.